Okay, so as your first process, people, we are going to learn about digestion. Okay, we are going to learn about digestion. So before learning about this digestion, people, before learning about the digestive process, you need to know about energy. Okay, you need to know about energy. Okay, the process of digestion, people. Okay, this process of digestion is involved in producing energy within the body. Okay, to generate energy, you need this process of digestion. Okay, you know, basically, people, this energy is taken into your body. Okay, this energy is produced within your body from the food that we are consuming. Okay, from the food that we are consuming. What happens, people? Energy within our body is generated from the food that we are consuming. Okay, the food that we are consuming contains what, people? Nutrients. What are the nutrients? Carbohydrates, proteins and lipid-like nutrients. Understood? We'll take carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, like nutrients, people. Okay, so these carbohydrates, lipids and protein like nutrients are complex organic molecules, people. Okay, they are large molecules, therefore they cannot be directly taken into the body. They cannot be directly absorbed into the body. Therefore, people, these large molecules or these complex organic molecules has to be broken down into simple molecules to produce energy. Understood? What happens, people? These are complex organic molecules, right? These are complex organic molecules. Okay, these complex organic molecules has to be broken down into simple molecules. Understood? Complex organic compounds, let's say. Okay, so they has to be broken down into simpler units. What happens, people? When carbohydrates are broken down, you can get glucose, fructose and galactose, like simple molecules. When lipids are broken down, you can get fatty acids plus glycerol. And also, people, when proteins are broken down, you can obtain amino acids from that. Understood? So these are, people, these are simple molecules that can be absorbed into the blood. Understood? These are simple molecules that can be absorbed to your body. Okay, so we will say these are simple molecules. Understood, people? These are simple molecules. So these simple molecules undergo a process called as cellular respiration, people. Okay, these simple molecules undergo a process called as cellular respiration to produce energy within your body. Okay, to produce energy within your body. Okay, so you need to know that this process of digestion, people, is involved in producing energy within our body. Okay, so we put arrow like this. Okay, so if I recap the session, what happens, people? Energy has to be generated within our body. Okay, to perform the daily tasks, energy has to be generated. Okay, to generate this energy is generated from the food that we are consuming. This energy is generated from the food that we are consuming. The food that we are consuming contains carbohydrates, lipids and proteins like complex organic molecules. Okay, so they are large molecules. Since they are large molecules, people, they cannot be directly taken into our body, absorbed into our body. What happens? These complex organic molecules or compounds has to be broken down into simple molecules. Understood? So these simple molecules are absorbed into the blood, and through a process called cellular respiration, energy is generated. Okay, especially glucose molecules. Glucose molecules undergo cellular respiration to produce energy. I'll teach you about cellular respiration in the next unit. Okay, so when I'm talking about digestion, people, the process of breaking down complex organic molecules into simple molecules to be absorbed into the body is called as digestion. That is the definition of digestion. Okay, as the first part of this unit, I told you about the definition of digestion. Hope you understand that. Okay, as your next part, people, we are going to learn about the system. Okay, so digestion is a process, no people, it's a biological process. So to carry out that biological process, there has to be a system. Okay, so now we are going to learn, as your second part, we are going to learn about the system involved in digestion. Okay, so that is your human digestive system, people. That is your human digestive system. Okay, so I am going to talk about the parts of your digestive system and their functions. Understood? So first of all, people, your digestive system. First of all, your digestive system is started from your mouth. Okay, so your mouth is the opening to the external environment. Okay, so your feeding mechanism is done through your mouth. You take food from your mouth. Okay, what happens, people? This mouth part is called as the buccal cavity. Your mouth part is simply called as buccal cavity. Okay, so what is that, people? Buccal cavity. Okay, your buccal cavity is considered as the first part of your digestive system. Okay, so your buccal cavity is surrounded by your cheek muscles, people. Okay, your buccal cavity is surrounded by your cheek muscles. Understood? This buccal cavity contains two jaws, people. Your buccal cavity contains two jaws. What is that, people? This your mouth area is called as the buccal cavity, and it is surrounded from your cheek muscles. Okay, so it has two jaws, people. It has the upper jaw. It has the upper jaw and the lower jaw. It has the upper jaw and the lower jaw. This upper jaw is fixed to the face, people. You know, your upper jaw is fixed to the face part. Okay, but your lower jaw is movable. You can move your lower jaw. When I'm talking, when I'm eating, I can move this, right? So your lower jaw is movable. Okay, so this is movable. And both these jaws contain what, people? Teeth. Teeth is present in both the jaws, like this. Okay, teeth is present in both the jaws. Teeth is present in both the jaws. So teeth is supporting to grind the food, to break the food into small parts. Okay, so teeth is involved in grinding food. Grinding food to break down your large food molecules into small particles. Understood? So then, people, your buccal cavity contains, it has a tongue. It has a tongue like this. Your buccal cavity contains, it has a structure called you know the tongue, right? Okay, your tongue is present in your buccal cavity, and you need to know the function of your tongue, people. Your tongue contains some receptors. Your tongue contains taste receptors. For example, if you take a chocolate, you can feel the taste, right? It has a sweet taste. So what happens? Your tongue contains some taste receptors so that it can detect, or it can identify it can identify the taste. Okay. So the first function of your tongue is identification of taste. Identification of taste. Okay. Also, people, to mix the food well, you need your tongue. Your tongue is going to support to mix food, and also it is supporting to swallow the food. Okay, it is supporting to swallow the food into the down part, people. Understood? So that is the function of the tongue. So what happens? You have your buccal cavity. Your buccal cavity is surrounded by your cheek muscles, people. Understood? It has an upper jaw and a lower jaw. This upper jaw is fixed into the face part, and your lower jaw is movable. Okay, so both the jaws contain teeth, and teeth is helping to grind the food or to break the food into small parts. Understood? And also your tongue is present. Tongue is mainly supporting to identify the taste of the food, and also it is supporting to mix the food, to swallowing. This your tongue is supporting. Okay. So people, there is another important structure in your buccal cavity, that is the salivary glands. Okay. salivary glands. This is a very important structure. Okay. Salivary glands. Okay. So salivary glands is the next important structure found in your buccal cavity. Okay. What happens, people? There are three salivary glands present in your buccal cavity. Okay. You don't need to know the names of them, but keep in your mind there are three salivary glands present in your buccal cavity. Okay. So this salivary glands is going to secrete it is going to secrete a secretion called as saliva. Okay, so salivary glands are going to produce saliva into your buccal cavity. Understood? So this saliva contains water, it contains mucus, it contains some enzymes, it contains buffers. Okay, so saliva is a secretion, people. Understood? So one of the main enzyme is present in saliva, that is salivary amylase, or you call it as Ileum enzyme. What happens, people? You have starch. Okay, starch is present in the food that you consume. Understood? This starch is going to partially convert into maltose, people. It is going to partially digest into maltose. Okay, so starch is a form of a polysaccharide. Starch is a form of a polysaccharide. So it is going to partially digest into a disaccharide. Understood? Starch is going to convert into maltose using what, people? Salivary amylase. Salivary amylase. Understood? Or you call that as Ileum enzyme. Okay, what happens? You have salivary glands. There are three salivary glands present in your buccal cavity. So it secretes saliva. Okay, it secretes saliva. So what? It secretes saliva, and this saliva contains salivary amylase. It has some more components like water, mucus, buffers. Okay, it contains some more components. But mainly, people, it contains salivary amylase, that is an enzyme. So this enzyme is going to act on starch and it is going to convert starch into maltose. Understood? This is a form of a disaccharide. Okay. So this is the process that is occurring in your buccal cavity. Okay. So as the next part, people, the food that is broken down into small parts is going to mix with saliva, and food bolus is formed, people. Okay. A food bolus is formed like this. Understood? A food bolus is formed within your buccal cavity. Okay. A food bolus is formed in your buccal cavity. Okay. So this food bolus is simply the undigested food particles in your mouth. It is going to mix with saliva, and this food bolus is going to form. Okay. So this is going to be pushed into the lower part of your digestive tract. Understood? Food bolus is pushed down. It is coming into a passage called the pharynx, people. It is coming into a passage called the pharynx. Okay. So here you have your digestive tract. Okay. Here you have your digestive tract. And this side, people, you have your respiratory tract. Okay. You have your digestive tract here. You have your respiratory tract here. Okay. So pharynx is this part, people. It is a common passage. Okay. Pharynx is a common passage for both the respiratory tract and the digestive tract. Okay. Pharynx is a common passage for both the respiratory and digestive tract. Okay. In digestive tract, people, here you can find the esophagus. In your respiratory tract, you can find the trachea here. Okay. So what happens when the food is entering into this path, when the food bolus is pushed down, and when this food bolus is entered into the path, imagine this is your food bolus. When it is pushed down, people. Okay. So imagine that your food bolus is pushed down. Okay. So what happens? There is a special structure called the epiglottis. There is a special structure called epiglottis. Okay, there is a special structure called epiglottis. So I told you people, this pharynx is a common passage for both the digestive and respiratory tract. Okay, so this epiglottis is going to close down. It is going to close down when this food bolus is entering into the into this tract. Okay, what happens when the food is coming down from this passage? This epiglottis is going to close and it is preventing entering of this what you call food bolus into the respiratory tract. Okay, so that easily when this path is closed, the food bolus can come down through the esophagus, come down like this, and it can pass through the esophagus. Understood? So epiglottis is a very important structure, people. Okay, it prevents the entering of the food bolus into the respiratory tract. Understood? So after this food bolus is passing down, people, what happens? This is going to open. Okay, allowing the air to pass through the respiratory tract. Hope you understand. Okay, hope you understand that part. Okay, so people, I told you, inside the buccal cavity, your food bolus is formed and that is pushed towards the pharynx, and from the pharynx, people, it is pushed towards the esophagus. Esophagus is a long tube, people. Understood? It is a long tube. So something special is happening here, people. Along this what you call long tube, people, the food is passing in a wave-like form. It has a wave-like rhythm is there, that is called as peristaltic movements, people. Peristaltic movements. I told you it's a wave-like form. One side is going to compress and the food is taken down, pushed down, and again it is going to compress, the food is pushed down. So likewise, your food is going to enter into your stomach. When the food is entered into your stomach, people, the stomach wall is going to secrete a juice, people, that is called as gastric juice. Okay. Okay, so your stomach, the wall of your stomach is going to secrete this gastric juice into the stomach. Understood? So what happens, people? This gastric juice contains HCl and pepsin. HCl and pepsin. Okay, HCl and pepsin is present in this gastric juice. Okay, so HCl is an acid. Okay, it maintains the acidic nature inside your stomach. And pepsin is an enzyme, people. Understood? What happens? This pepsin is going to act on proteins. Pepsin is going to act on proteins. Okay, pepsin is going to act on proteins and convert these proteins or break down these proteins into polypeptides. Okay. Understood, people? So gastric juice contains HCl and pepsin. This HCl is going to activate this pepsin, people. Okay, this HCl is going to activate this pepsin. This pepsin is going to act on proteins, and proteins are broken down into polypeptides. Understood? So when your food bolus is entered into your stomach, people, that is going to mix with this gastric juice and chyme is produced within your stomach. But people, chyme is produced. Chyme is produced. Okay, chyme is produced. What happens, people? This chyme contains, it is a what you call semi-fluid. Understood? It is a semi-fluid that is containing the food bolus. Okay, the components in the food bolus is going to mix with your gastric juice and this chyme is produced. Okay, so this chyme is going to intestine. Okay. Okay. So now we are going to talk about small intestine, people. Now we are going to talk about the processes occurring in your small intestine. Okay. Processes occurring in your small intestine. People, mainly the chemical digestion. Mainly the chemical digestion is going to occur in your small intestine. Okay. You know, even in the buccal cavity, a part of the chemical digestion occurs there. Understood? When starch is converted into maltose, chemical digestion happens. But people, overall, chemical digestion, the main part of the chemical digestion is occurring in the small intestine. Therefore, chemical digestion is mainly occurring in the chemical digestion is mainly occurring in your small intestine. Okay. So the next point is, people, this is a 7-meter long tube. Okay, in length. This is a 7-meter long tube, people. Okay. But to increase the surface area, people, this has a folded nature. Okay. The long tube has a folded nature to increase the surface area. Understood? So this is around 7-meter long in length. Okay. And also, people, this small intestine, this long tube, okay, is divided into 3 parts. Is divided into 3 parts. That is, people, duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. Understood? Your small intestine, the long tube, is divided into 3 parts: duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. Understood? So duodenum is the proximal part. That means the topmost part. It has a C-shaped curve, people. Okay? It has a C-shaped curve like this, something like this. Okay, so main part of your digestive process, the chemical digestion, is occurring especially in this duodenum. Okay, this is a C-shaped curve. This is a C-shaped curve. Okay, this is the proximal part. That means the top part of your small intestine. Then you have the jejunum and ileum, people. Okay, the next thing that you need to know is, there are 3 secretions. Okay, there are 3 secretions secreted into this duodenum. There are 3 secretions secreted into this duodenum. That means in the small intestine, 3 secretions are going to enter into this region. Okay, the first one is, people, from the pancreas. Okay, there is an alkaline fluid. Okay, there is an alkaline fluid called pancreatic juice. It is an alkaline fluid. What is alkaline, people? It has more basic properties. Okay, it has more basic properties. From pancreas, people, pancreatic juice is going to enter or flow into the duodenum. Understood? So this pancreatic juice is entered through the pancreatic duct. Is entered through pancreatic duct. Okay, this is entered through the pancreatic duct. What happens? You have pancreas. Pancreas is an associated gland of your digestive system. Okay, it is a gland present in your digestive system. This is going to produce what? Pancreatic juice. Okay, this is an alkaline fluid. Understood? That means it has some basic properties. Okay, so this pancreatic juice contains 3 enzymes, people. This pancreatic juice contains 3 enzymes. One is trypsin, amylase, and then we have lipase. Okay, so your pancreatic juice is going to contain these 3 enzymes. Okay, that is entered into your duodenum through the pancreatic duct. Understood? So that is the first secretion. From the pancreas, pancreatic juice is secreted and it contains these 3 enzymes. Secondly, people, we have from intestinal wall. Okay, from your intestinal wall, people, there are some glands present in your intestinal wall. There are some glands present in your intestinal wall. Okay, so these glands are going to produce another secretion called as intestinal juice. Okay, intestinal juice is going to secrete into the duodenum. Okay, it is going to secrete into the duodenum. Okay, this is a pale yellow color fluid. Understood? This is a pale yellow color fluid secreted into the duodenum. Okay, so this intestinal, what happens people? Your intestinal wall, that means the wall of the duodenum contains some glands. They secrete intestinal juice into the small intestine. Okay, so your intestinal juice contains people maltase, sucrase, lactase. Like enzymes, also it contains peptidase and also it contains mucus people. Okay, so your intestinal juice contains maltase, sucrase and lactase. Also it contains peptidase. These are enzymes. With that enzymes people, mucus is also secreted into the duodenum. Understood? So the function of this mucus is to lubricate the food and like making the passage easier for the food to flow. Understood? Make the passage easier to flow the food. Okay. So that is one function of mucus, and the other one is people. This mucus is going to protect the inner lining of your small intestine, because you know different types of enzymes are secreted. Okay, to protect the inner wall of the small intestine, mucus is supporting. Okay, so what happens? It is functioning to lubricate the food, and to make the passage easier, and also people protect the inner lining of your small intestine. Hope you understand that, right? So your intestinal wall contains some glands. Those glands produce intestinal juice. This is a pale yellow color fluid people. Okay. So this contains maltase, sucrase, lactase and peptidase. These are enzymes, and other than that you have mucus. So mucus is supporting to lubricate the food and make the passage easier. And also people, it is going to protect the inner lining of the duodenum, of the small intestine. Okay, hope you understand. Then people, there is another secretion secreted into the duodenum. That is people, you know liver. You know what is liver, right? Liver is also an associated gland of your digestive system. Pancreas is also an associated gland, and liver is also a gland present in your digestive system. Okay, so this liver is going to produce a digestive fluid called as bile. It is going to produce a digestive fluid called as bile. Okay, it is going to produce bile. And this bile is temporarily stored in gallbladder. That is very important. This is temporarily stored in gallbladder. This is temporarily stored in gallbladder. What happens people? Liver is a gland. It is going to produce bile, and this bile is temporarily stored in the gallbladder to be secreted into the small intestine. Okay, that is secreted into the small intestine through the bile duct. Okay, through the bile duct. Okay, so this duodenum has a single opening for the bile duct and pancreatic duct. Understood? So what are the three secretions? One is coming from the pancreas, the other one is coming from the glands present in the intestinal wall, and the other one is coming from the liver. That is produced within the liver. That means the bile is produced within the liver and temporarily stored in the gallbladder, and then it is secreted into the duodenum through the bile duct. Okay. So people, this bile contains bile pigments. Okay. This bile is a fluid, right? This is a yellow-green color fluid. This contains bile pigments. These contain bile pigments and bile salts, people. Bile pigments and bile salts. Other than that, water is present, and also some bicarbonate ions are present in the bile. In this fluid, it contains bile pigments and bile salts, water and bicarbonate ions. Understood? So you need to know the function of this bile, people. You need to know the function of this bile. Mainly there are two functions performed by this bile, this secretion. Okay. One is neutralization. One is neutralization. The other one is emulsification. One is neutralization, the other one is emulsification. What happens, people? You know, the chyme contains, the chyme that is formed in your stomach contains the undigested food matter and the gastric juice. Okay, the gastric juice is going to mix with the undigested food matter in your stomach and chyme is produced. Okay, that chyme is sent into the duodenum, people. Okay, so this chyme has a very high acidity. Okay, this chyme has a very high acidity. Okay, some enzymes in this some enzymes that are secreted to the small intestine cannot function at a very high acidic nature. Okay, some enzymes cannot function in a very high acidic nature. So the acidity has to be reduced within the small intestine when the chyme in the stomach has a very high acidity, right? You know, because gastric juice is also mixed. Gastric juice contains HCl. It has a very high acidic nature. Okay, so when that chyme is passed into the duodenum, people, it has to reduce its acidity. Okay, to reduce the acidity, people, you need to increase the basic properties, increase the alkaline nature. Okay, so what happens? This bile contains bicarbonate ions and water. Okay, that is going to reduce the acidic nature of the chyme. Understood? That is going to reduce the acidic nature of the chyme. So neutralization, neutralizing the chyme present in your small intestine is one function of the bile. Understood? The next function is emulsification. What is emulsification? It is supporting the fat digestion. It is supporting the fat digestion. What happens, people? Large fat droplets undergoes this emulsification process, and that is broken down into small fat droplets. Small fat droplets to be absorbed into the body. Actually, this is going to increase the surface area for fat digestion. Okay, what happens? These large fat droplets are going to break down into small fat droplets to increase the surface area. Thereby, this bile is supporting in emulsification. Emulsification is large fat droplets are broken down into small fat droplets. Okay, to support the fat digestion. Okay, hope you understand. So there are three secretions, that is one from the pancreas, the other one is from the glands present in the intestinal wall, and the other one is from the liver. Understood? So hope you understand. Okay, people. So as your next part, we will be learning about the digesting end products. What are the end products produced after these digestive processes? Okay. End products of digestion. Okay, what are the end products of digestion? You know, carbohydrates. Okay, carbohydrates or polysaccharides. Okay, carbohydrates. Carbohydrates. For example, we can take starch, people. Starch is a form of carbohydrates or polysaccharide. So these carbohydrates is going to convert into, these carbohydrates are polysaccharides, people. So these polysaccharides are going to convert into disaccharides. What are the disaccharides found, people? You can find maltose, sucrose and lactose. Understood? So when these disaccharides are broken down, people, we can obtain monosaccharides. What are the monosaccharides that we can obtain? Maltose will give out glucose, people. Maltose will be broken down into glucose. Sucrose will give glucose plus fructose. and lactose will give you glucose plus galactose. Okay people, so these are the digestive end products of carbohydrate food digestion. Understood? When carbohydrates are broken down people, you can obtain these end products. Okay, what happens to break down these carbohydrates people? There is an enzyme function in here, that is amylase. Okay, amylase is a pancreatic enzyme. Okay, and also people, to digest or to break down this maltose, sucrose and lactose people, what is acting to break down maltose? Maltase is going to act on that. Sucrose, sucrase is going to act on it. And to break down lactose people, lactase is going to act on lactose. Okay, maltase, sucrase and lactase are intestinal enzymes. Understood? So this is the end products formed during carbohydrate food digestion. Okay, then we have proteins people. So carbohydrates, proteins and lipids are complex organic molecules. Okay, so what happens people? We have proteins. Proteins are broken down into polypeptides. And these polypeptides are broken down into amino acids. Is broken down into amino acids. What happened people? Proteins are broken down into polypeptides using trypsin. Trypsin is a pancreatic enzyme. Okay, trypsin is going to act on proteins. Understood? And then people, these polypeptides are broken down into amino acids using peptidase. Peptidase is an intestinal enzyme. Peptidase is an intestinal enzyme. Okay, and then you have lipids. So lipids are broken down into fatty acids plus glycerol people. Okay, lipids are broken down into fatty acids plus glycerol using lipase. As the enzyme. Okay, so amylase, trypsin and lipase are pancreatic enzyme, whereas maltase, sucrase, lactase and peptidase are intestinal enzymes. Hope you understand that part, right? So next we will be moving into the absorption part, that is occurring in your small intestine. That is a very small part people, right? So these what you call glucose, the end products of your carbohydrate food digestion and protein food digestion is directly absorbed into the blood vessels. Okay, but these fats people, these fatty acids and glycerol is absorbed into the lacteal. Okay, so I will be teaching you about that. Okay, so now we are going to learn about the absorption process people. Actually I told you about the absorption, but you need to just look into the structure. Okay, so your small intestine is a long tube. Okay, it has circular inner folds people. Okay, it has circular inner folds. And also people, if I take your what you call small intestine, there are finger-like projections people to increase the surface area. To increase the surface area, there are some finger-like projections called as villi. You can see that. Okay, so this villi has a good blood supply people. Okay, what happens? The veins take the blood from the body organs into the villi, and what happens people? These nutrients like amino acids, glucose, fructose, galactose, vitamins and minerals are going to be absorbed into the blood vessels, and it is taken throughout the body through the arteries. Understood? So therefore people, this has to have a very good supply, and these end products like amino acids, glucose, fructose, galactose, vitamins, minerals are absorbed into the blood vessels. Also people, fatty acids and glycerol are the end products of the fat digestion. So they are absorbed into the lacteal, not into the blood capillaries. So later people, from the lacteal it is taken into the blood circulatory system. Understood? So there are some adaptations in the small intestine to make this absorption process efficient. What are they, people? It is a long tube, it is around 7 meter long tube, and it has circular inner folds. Okay, it has circular inner folds, and there are finger-like projections called villi. This is to increase the surface area, right? And also people, in the epidermal cells of the villi, you can see some micro projections. Those are called as microvilli. Understood? So they absorb, they make this, what we call, absorption process more efficient. Understood? And also people, villi are highly vascularized because they has to have a very good blood supply. Understood? So blood is taken from veins, and the blood is taken into this, what we call, villi through these veins. And what happens, people? These end products are going to be absorbed into the blood capillaries, and that blood is taken throughout the body through the arteries. Understood? So this is simply the absorption process, and the, what do you call it, these adaptations are very important. Okay, those adaptations are very important to make that process efficient. Okay, hope you understand. Then we are moving into the last part, that is what do you call, large intestine. Large intestine is, people, okay, I'll write it here. Hope, I think you can see this. Large intestine. Okay, large intestine. What happens, people? All the undigested materials from the small intestine is taken into the large intestine. Okay, the remainings from the small intestine are taken into the large intestine. Understood, people? So mainly water reabsorption takes place in large intestine. Okay, mainly, people, water reabsorption takes place in the large intestine. Like water reabsorption is mainly occurring in large intestine, but people, this small intestine is also what do you call, absorbing water. Understood? The major part of the water is absorbed in the small intestine actually, but the main function of the large intestine is to absorb water. Understood? So here water reabsorption occurs. Then what else, people? Your large intestine contains cecum, rectum and anus. It contains cecum, rectum and anus. Okay. Also in the cecum, people, there is a small structure called as appendix. Appendix. Okay. A microbial activity is done in the appendix, people. A microbial activity is done in the appendix to for the support. Okay, cecum, rectum and anus. Okay, so now we are going to look into the last part of your digestive system, that is large intestine. Your large intestine is about, it is also a long tube, people, but it is folded. This large intestine is 1.5 meters in length. Understood? The main function of large intestine is water absorption. Okay, but water absorption. Then, people, the ileum. Ileum is the last part. It is the terminal part of your small intestine. Okay, the terminal part of the small intestine is the ileum, and this is going to send the undigested materials and water into the large intestine. Your large intestine contains three parts: cecum, rectum and anus. Okay. So what happens? The water reabsorption is mainly occurring in the large intestine. Okay. So in cecum, people, there is a small projection called as appendix. Okay. In some people, this appendix is going to swollen. Okay. And it is like getting infected and forming appendicitis. Appendicitis is a form of a disease, right? So what happens here, there are three parts to your large intestine: cecum, rectum and anus. Watery absorption is mainly occurring. This undigested matter is going to form the fecal matter. The undigested parts is going to taken out from your body. When the large intestine is filled with this fecal matter, people, it is taken out from your body through the anus. Understood? So this is simply about your large intestine. So mainly you need to know what absorption is taking place there. Okay. So next part is people about diseases. Next part is about diseases. In diseases, people, I'll tell you about a table. Okay. So you can put the information in your book, in your textbook, into the table, right? Like, I don't want to like explain you that. I will show you a diagram. So the disease. Okay, disease. What is the disease? That means the definition of the disease. Okay, the definition of the disease. You have gastritis, constipation. Okay, so what else? Gastritis, constipation, and there were some other diseases present. So you can put that into the table. Diseases, definition, reason, symptoms, okay, how to cure or how to prevent that disease. How to prevent that disease. Understood? So for example, if I take gastritis is a disease. Okay, so definition, it is the what do you call, your acidity of the stomach is going to increase, people. Okay, so the reason is why there can be several reasons, like skipping of meals, excessive stress, like there are some reasons. Then symptoms, what are the symptoms, people? Your what do you call it, your stomach will start paining. Okay, so those are some symptoms. And to prevent, how to prevent that. Okay, so get these diseases into this table so that it will be easier for you to understand.